Love makes me treat you the way that I do. Gee, baby, ain't I good to you? There's nothing too good for a girl that's so true. Gee, baby, ain't I good to you? Bought you a fur coat for Christmas, a diamond ring, a Cadillac car, and everything. Love makes me treat you the way that I do. Gee, baby, ain't I good to you?
Okay, folks, let's take a look at our final topic, and that is intervals. So let's talk about exactly what is an interval. Well, this is, first of all, nothing different from what your book has already told you, but this is just presented to you in perhaps a different way, something that might be a little bit easier for some. If you've already gotten through the interval section and you've done well enough, you don't need to worry about this, but this might clarify some things for some of you. Put simply, an interval is the space between or distance between two pitches. So when we look at a starting pitch on the bottom and we put one on top, that is essentially an interval. And we have a space between there. And if we start with the bottom number as 1 and we count upwards, line space, line space, line space, and so forth, we get all the way up to the number 8. So this would be the interval number 8. So whatever the number is, counting the lines and spaces between the two pitches, starting with the bottom, that's the interval's number. So this is an 8th, an 8, or an 8. It doesn't matter how you say it, really. The pitch names are sort of not really necessary, but just to give you an idea, so you have from C to C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. Now, if we juxtapose these in a couple of different ways, it might be a little easier for us to see. So we have one C at the bottom, one C at the top, making this the interval of an 8th or an octave, C to C, or C4 to C5 in this case, if you want to look at octave designation. Now, there are basically two types of intervals. There is a harmonic interval, and this is where the two notes are sounding together. And then we have a melodic interval, and in this instance we have two pitches played consecutively, separately, or consecutively. So there you go, a melodic interval. Now, when we look at intervals from the standpoint of their qualities, that gets to be a little bit more difficult. Here we have a plain old C major scale, and we're going to use the scale as the top notes for a series of 8 intervals. So we're going to put these bottom notes, C's, those are the bottom notes to all of these. These would be harmonic intervals. They would all sound the same. I realize that the unison is kind of a unusual thing. You wouldn't necessarily think of that as an interval, but it is possible for two instruments to play the same note. So that would be the interval of a first, the interval of a second, the interval of a third, fourth, and fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. We already looked at the octave, But what we haven't really explored is something known as interval qualities. The interval qualities are perfect, diminished, major, minor, and augmented. Those are the 5 possible qualities of intervals. And by the way, these can be harmonic or melodic. It doesn't really matter. Now, when we look at the perfect intervals, we have the first, perfect 1, the fourth, perfect 4th, the 5th, a perfect 5th, and the 8th, or perfect 8, or perfect octave. Then we have something called the major intervals, and that would be the second, major 2nd, major 3rd, major 6th, and major 7th. So the intervals of 2, 3, 6, and 7 are called the major intervals. 1, 4, 5, and 8 are called the perfect intervals. Now, these intervals, the perfect intervals, can also be augmented as well as the major intervals. If we look at what we have to do to augment an interval, it means to make it wider. So this is achieved by altering either the top note or the bottom note, lowering or raising the pitch by 1/2 step through the use of accidentals to make the interval wider. So in this case, we would add a sharp to increase the distance between the bottom note and the top note of each of these pitches. So we would have an augmented first, an augmented second, augmented third, augmented 4th, augmented 5th, augmented 6th, 7th, and augmented 8th. Not that hard really to understand, but you have to put them in comparison to the major intervals and the perfect intervals. Now, when we begin to discuss the the minor intervals, well, we got to go back to the major line and take a look at what we have to do. We have to take a major interval and make it smaller. And we do that by lowering the top note 1/2 step through the use of an accidental. In this case, we would do it with flats. We would lower that top note. So a major second becomes a minor second. A major third becomes a minor third. A major 6th becomes a minor 6th. And a major 7th becomes a minor 7th. Then we have the diminished intervals. And the diminished intervals are achieved much like the minor intervals, except when we talk about the 2, 3, 6, and 7, those are being lowered from a minor standpoint, so they're going to require something a little bit different. The perfect intervals, however, are diminished by lowering the top note 1/2 step only. So a perfect 1 becomes a diminished 1. A perfect 4th becomes a diminished 4th. The perfect 5th, a diminished 5th. And the perfect octave, a diminished octave or diminished 8th. The major intervals, 2, 3, 6, and 7, we got to take them down one more step from the minor. In the case of making a minor interval diminished, you must lower the top note a second time. So in this case, we use something called the double flat. Note the 2 flat symbols. So a major second or minor second becomes a diminished second. A major second, major third, a diminished third. Major 6th, diminished 6th, and major 7th, a diminished 7th, all through the use of that double flat. So there you have it, laid out for you. All of the possible intervals and their possible qualities within the framework of C major. Now, we can look at their qualities in a different way. There are 5 qualities possible with intervals. The perfects are always going to be 1, 4, 5, and 8. They can be perfect, augmented, or diminished, but they can never be major or minor. You might want to make a note of that. 1, 4, 5, and 8 can never be major or minor. They can only be perfect, augmented, or diminished. So we can take these 4 intervals, the perfect 1, perfect 4, and perfect 5th, and perfect 8, and we can make them augmented, augmented 4th, augmented 5th, augmented 8th. We can make them diminished, diminished 1st, diminished 4th, diminished 5th, diminished 8th. So those are the possibilities of the perfect intervals. When we look at the major intervals, 2, 3, 6, and 7, they can be major, minor, augmented, or diminished, but they can never be perfect. So we look at these: a major second, major third, a major sixth, a major seventh. These can be minor, minor second, minor third, minor sixth, a minor seventh, and they can also be augmented, an augmented second, an augmented third, an augmented sixth, and an augmented seventh, or they can also be diminished, a diminished second, a diminished third, a diminished sixth, and a diminished seventh. So you might make note here that we changed the minor interval, like a minor second, to a diminished second by using the double flat. Same thing with the minor third. We made it a diminished third by using the double flat. Versus the augmented intervals, the second, the third, and the sixth, and the seventh. The second was augmented by the use of a sharp symbol because we had to raise the top note to make it wider. So I hope this helps. I hope this helps to explain some things for you, and that it has clarified intervals for you if at all there were any confusion for you.
I'm a sentimental sap, that's all. What's the use of trying not to fall? I have no will, you've made your kill, 'cause you took advantage of me. I'm just like an apple on a bough, and you're gonna shake me down somehow. So what's the use? You've cooked my goose, 'cause you took advantage of me. I'm so hot and bothered that I don't know my